25-year-old male, obese, inactive, can't sleep through the night because he's pissing all the time. Polydipsia, polyphagia, and C-pep type shows decreased pancreatic beta cell function. What do you think, guys?
I mean, that's concerning. Pancreatic beta cells are responsible for the co-secretion of insulin and amylin, both of which are extremely crucial for blood glucose regulation. If beta cells aren't functioning properly, then there's not enough insulin being secreted. And since insulin is crucial in helping glucose get taken up into cells, I mean, this isn't good. Not to mention, insulin plays a huge role in peripheral glucose uptake into muscle cells, which is then used for energy or for the conversion from glucose to glycogen. I mean, if they don't have good beta cell function, that's also going to impact the ability of that glucose to be taken up into those muscle cells.
And that's not it. This patient is experiencing alpha cell dysfunction. Now, in response to the low blood glucose, alpha cells produce a hormone called glucagon, which then stimulates glycogenolysis at the level of the liver and the muscle. In this patient, these alpha cells are producing this hormone glucagon, which in turn is causing the increased hepatic glucose production. Now, speaking of the liver, this patient also has hepatic cell dysfunction. Now you see, liver cells need the presence of insulin for them to convert glucose to glycogen and also to inhibit glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. So in this patient, despite the presence of insulin in the blood, there is overproduction of hepatic glucose.
But if the alpha cells are secreting too much glucagon and the liver is producing extra glucagon, it's like glucagon gone wild.
Oh, take it easy, Joe Francis.
Well, this is such a complex case. What could it be?
I mean, something this complex has to be autoimmune. My guess is lupus.
No, it's not lupus. What do we have that's going to address the beta cell dysfunction and the decreased insulin secretion?
So sulfonylureas, DPP4 inhibitors, amylin mimetics,
GLP-1, yeah,
right.
GLP-1 receptor agonist, exogenous insulin.
They all target decreased insulin secretion.
And what about the decreased glucose uptake in the muscle?
Metformin and TZDs both target decreased muscle glucose uptake.
Bring us home, my wonderful interns. What agents do we have that addresses the increased glucagon production and the increased hepatic glucose production?
So amylin mimetics and GLP-1 receptor agonists do address the increase in glucagon secretion.
And metformin and TZDs would address the increased hepatic glucose production.
Right.
Great. Sure. What? You haven't cured him yet?
So the patient still has elevated postprandial glucose and elevated fasting glucose. You're also presenting with a decrease in incretin effects.
Yeah, you know, as we know, in response to food, the small intestines releases these incretin hormones, GLP-1 and GIP, which then tell the beta cells in the pancreas to secrete insulin. But in this patient, that effect seems to be diminished.
Okay, anything else?
So actually, yes. You know, it's strange we're seeing this inappropriate lipolysis. So, you know, as we know, lipolysis is your body's reaction when you're low on glucose, your body begins to burn the stored fat. So our patient is insulin resistant though, and we know that, you know, insulin helps stop this lipolysis. However, we're still seeing this.
Yeah, I mean, because of that insulin resistance, we're seeing an increase in free fatty acids.
Right.
This seems to be stimulating hepatic glucose production, and it's promoting insulin resistance in the muscle and the liver cells, and it's decreasing pancreatic beta cell function.
Well, that's not awesome, is it? I'm here to tell you that there's something going on upstairs. Well, not there, literally, here.
The brain? Issues with the brain further prove it's lupus.
It's not lupus. We checked the ANA and it was negative.
No, it's never lupus. As we know, the brain interacts with a lot of hormones to send signals that indicate satiety. For example, what does insulin do? Insulin depresses hunger, and glucagon increases hunger. So what do we see in this patient that we have here, the 55-year-old male that you guys keep talking about? Well, this patient seems to be insulin deficient. Because of this, the patient is probably overeating because they're not feeling full easily as a normal patient would. Obviously, overeating can lead to weight gain. And what do we know? This is not ideal.
So what do we have that can help?
Well, you know, we have the GLP-1 receptor agonists and the DPP-4 inhibitors that help address that incretin dysfunction. We also have the amylin omimetics that also address the neurotransmitter dysfunction, but...
Not to mention GLP-1 receptor agonists for the neurotransmitter dysfunction.
Right. So what about the lipolysis?
TZDs would address the inappropriate lipolysis.
True.
Well, sounds like you guys don't need me.
We've got glucose in the urine.
Both of you?
We're also seeing this increased glucose reabsorption happening with the kidney. It's happening in the kidney. This is it. It's lupus.
It's not lupus. No. Kidneys. That's it. Kidneys play a very important role in our glucose regulation. Now, how do they do that? Well, kidneys play an important role by reabsorbing a lot of glucose back into the bloodstream. Now, majority of this is done by the SGLT2 cotransporter found in the proximal tubule of the kidneys. Now, you see, in this patient with diabetes, there seems to be a maladaptive increase in the capacity of how much glucose is being reabsorbed, making this patient's hyperglycemic state even worse. And glucose in urine, ding, 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 ding. We have a diagnosis. And no, it's not lupus. You see, diabetes has been known since 1st century BC, when the Greek physician Aratus the Cappadocian called it diabetes, meaning a siphon, referring to the excessive urination that comes with the disease. Diabetes was first recorded in 1425, and later the Greek term mellitus, which means like honey, was added, referring again to the sweet taste and the smell of the patient's urine. And boy, our patient has got the sweet, sweet urine, and therefore has diabetes.
Diabetes? And how can diabetes be this complicated?
So it seems to be as though each defect that we have discovered today corresponds to, come on my bright interns, hyperglycemia. That is correct. It's like my life with 8 ex-wives, only making it worse.
But, I mean, do we have anything that will address the increased glucose reabsorption by the kidney?
You know, an SGLT2 inhibitor would really address that kidney reabsorption dysfunction.
I mean, who knew diabetes could be so complex?
It's concerning. Some might even call it ominous. Ready?
But, I mean, do we have anything that will address the increased kidney reabsorption?
You know, an SGLT2 inhibitor would be perfect for...
Take a second, couple seconds, ready.
But, I mean, do we have anything that will address the increased kidney reabsorption?
I'm I'm sorry. I'm like, God, I suck so bad at this. Okay.
Hold on, I'm not.
Take a second. I'm rolling, so you whatever.
So disappointed. So much shame. This is literally like a 2-liner, and Hirsch knocked out like a paragraph in like 5 minutes.
Ready.
But, I mean, do we have anything that will address the increased kidney reabsorption?
No, Katie, we do. I'm serious. That's the last one. I'm good. I've got it all out. I've got it out.
I'm rolling. I'm rolling with this. Go ahead.
It's out. All right, we're good. Let's cut. We good?
I can't. Stop. All right.
You're supposed to say dead puppies, dead puppies, dead puppies, dead puppies, dead puppies.
Take 2. Rolling. On your pace.
But I mean, do we have anything that will address the increased kidney reabsorption?
You know what, Katie? We do. An SGLT2 inhibitor. Gosh, I'm choking. SGLT2 inhibitor. SGLT2 inhibitor. SGLT2 inhibitor.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Maybe we should
No,
just
no. I got it. I'm serious. This is
Okay.
good.
This is
I'm
it.
good.
We got it.
This
Is it. I'm
Last
rolling.
time.
Still rolling.
I'm serious.
On your pace.
You just go, Katie. I got this.
But I mean, do we have anything that will address the increased kidney reabsorption?
You know what, Katie? An SGLT2 inhibitor.